A sharp crack split the night air as Faith hit the pavement, her palms scraping against rough concrete. She gasped, breath trembling. The two men chasing her didn't slow down. Their footsteps thundered closer, echoing through the narrow alley behind the luxury hotel. She didn't dare look back. She pushed herself up and ran again, heart pounding so hard it felt like it would burst. "Come back here," one of the men growled. Faith's lungs burned. She had only come here to deliver a late-night order for the restaurant she worked at. She had not expected to be dragged into danger. Not tonight of all nights. Not after the news she had received from home. Her mother's condition had worsened again. The hospital bill was too high. Her younger brother had cried on the phone. She felt trapped already. And now this. Just as one of the men reached for her shoulder, a black car screeched to a stop at the mouth of the alley. The back door swung open. "Faith, get in," a familiar voice shouted. It was Jihoon. She dove into the car, and before she was fully inside, Jihoon yanked the door shut and hit the accelerator. The car sped forward, tires screeching. Faith leaned back against the seat, breath shaking, heart racing. "Are you hurt?" Jihoon asked, voice tight and worried. Just my hands," she whispered, trembling. Jihoon reached out gently, checking her scrapes. The warmth of his fingers made her flinch. She wasn't used to people caring. She forced herself to pull her hand back. "I'm fine. Thank you." Jihoon's jaw clenched. "Those men shouldn't have been near you. Why were you alone in a back alley at night?" "I was working," she whispered. "Some people don't have drivers or expensive cars." He sighed, rubbing his temples. "Right, sorry." Faith turned to the window, watching the city blur by. She didn't understand why he had been there, how he even knew where she was. They barely knew each other, or at least they shouldn't have. They had only met once, though that meeting had been unforgettable. It started 3 days ago, when Faith accidentally spilled coffee on him during a delivery. She had expected him to yell at her, maybe even demand money she didn't have. Instead, he smiled softly, as though the embarrassment didn't matter. She had apologized at least 10 times, and he had kept saying, "It's fine, really." She didn't know what made him remember her. She didn't know why he cared enough to pull over and rescue her from two dangerous-looking men. But the answer would come sooner than she expected. The car finally slowed to a stop in front of a quiet upscale cafe. Jihoon parked and turned to her. "Faith, I need to ask you something, and I need you to hear me out until the end." She tensed. "Why did those men chase me?" "They weren't after you," he said calmly. "They work for my family." "Your family," she repeated, confused and angry. "Why send men after me?" Her voice rose slightly. "I didn't do anything wrong." "I know," he said quickly, raising his hands. "They weren't chasing you. They were following me. I was trying to avoid them when I turned the corner and saw you being threatened. I didn't mean for you to get caught in that." Faith swallowed hard. She didn't fully believe him, but his face looked too sincere to lie. Jihoon leaned forward slightly. "I'm in a situation, Faith, a complicated one, and I think you might be the only person who can help me." Her eyebrows drew together. "Help you? With what?" And then he said it. "I need you to be my girlfriend." Her heart stopped. She stared at him as if he had spoken another language entirely. "What? Not a real girlfriend?" He clarified quickly. "A pretend one. A contract relationship." Faith blinked. "Why would I pretend to date someone I don't even know?" Jihoon exhaled shakily, running a hand through his hair. "Because my parents are forcing me into an arranged marriage. The wedding date is almost set. The woman Sira, she's powerful. Her family has connections. My family wants the alliance, not me." He paused. "But if I show them I'm already in a relationship, a serious one, they'll stop." "And you expect me to fix that?" she asked, stunned. He nodded. "Yes, you're strong, you're confident, and you're not connected to my world, which makes you unpredictable for them. They wouldn't see you coming. That's exactly what I need." Faith stared at him in disbelief. She wasn't used to being noticed at all, much less chosen for something as complicated as this. "I don't know you," she whispered. "I don't even understand why you'd choose me." "Because you're real," he said quietly. The words made her heart thud. She looked away. But Jihoon wasn't finished. "I'll pay you enough to take care of your family's needs, medical bills, everything." Faith froze completely. Her throat tightened painfully. How did he know about the bills? He must have seen her earlier at the restaurant, struggling. Maybe overheard her phone call. Shame and anger washed over her. "You shouldn't know anything about my family," she whispered sharply. Jihoon looked guilty. "I didn't mean to pry, but when I heard you crying on the phone," he hesitated. "I couldn't pretend I didn't hear it." Humiliation burned her cheeks. She didn't want pity. She hated pity, but she needed money, more than anything. Faith hugged her arms around herself and whispered, "Why me, Jihoon? Out of all the women you could pick, why me?" His answer came soft and without hesitation. "Because the first time I saw you, you looked at me like I was a person, not a CEO, not a rich heir, just a man who got coffee spilled on him. It felt honest. I haven't felt that in a long time." Her chest tightened. She wished she didn't feel a spark of something warm at his words. Still, she shook her head. "This is crazy. Your life, your world. I don't belong there." "You don't need to belong," he said gently. "You just need to play a role. For 3 months, I'll protect you, and I'll make sure your family is taken care of." Faith stared at him, torn between fear, confusion, and the crushing memory of her brother's voice crying, "Faith, Mama is getting worse. They need the money." She closed her eyes. 3 months, she whispered. "Yes, and I can walk away after." "Yes." She took a slow, trembling breath. "Fine, I accept." Jihoon's shoulders loosened in relief. "Thank you, Faith. You won't regret this." She doubted that deeply. She already felt like she had stepped into a storm she didn't understand. When Jihoon dropped her off at her small apartment later that night, he paused before she left the car. "One more thing," he said softly. "From now on, whether real or fake, I'll take care of you." Faith swallowed hard. "Don't make promises you can't keep, Jihoon." He looked at her with a softness she didn't expect. "I intend to keep every single one." She stepped out of the car without replying, but her heart was pounding so loudly she felt it in her fingertips. She didn't know it yet, but that night was the beginning of something too real for either of them to control. Faith woke up the next morning wondering if everything had been a dream, but then her phone vibrated with a message from an unknown number. "Good morning, Faith. I'm outside. We start today." Her heart lurched. She moved to the window and saw Jihoon leaning against a sleek black car, hands in his pockets, dressed in all black, too handsome, too confident, too calm for a man asking a stranger to pretend to be his girlfriend. She hurried down, still unsure what to expect. When she opened the car door, he gave her a small smile. "Ready?" "No," she answered honestly. He laughed, the sound soft. "At least you're honest." They drove to a private studio where a team of stylists waited. Faith stiffened instantly. "I didn't agree to a makeover," she whispered. "You didn't," he said. "But you're going to events with me. People in my circle are sharks. They'll tear you apart if we're not prepared." "They'll tear me apart either way," she muttered. He looked at her, expression warming. "Not while I'm here." The stylist team circled her, measuring, examining, planning. Faith felt exposed, like she didn't belong in a place where mirrors were taller than her entire apartment. Still, when they were done, she barely recognized herself. Fitted clothes, soft curls, glowing skin. She turned toward Jihoon awkwardly. "Well." For a moment, he didn't speak. He just stared at her too long, too intensely. "Beautiful," he whispered, almost under his breath. Faith swallowed hard. Her cheeks heated. She looked away. Jihoon cleared his throat quickly, as though catching himself. "Shall we go?" Their first outing was a charity gala filled with cameras, reporters, and wealthy elites who walked as though the ground belonged to them. The moment they stepped out of the car, the flashes began. Jihoon gently placed his hand on the small of Faith's back. She stiffened at the contact. He leaned in, whispering close to her ear, "Just breathe. Stay beside me." She nodded, her heart thudding so loudly she feared the cameras would pick up the sound. People stared, some curious, some shocked, some judgmental. A reporter rushed toward them. "Jihoon, see, who is the woman with you tonight?" Jihoon didn't hesitate. "My girlfriend." The word sank into Faith's skin like heat. She forced a smile, though her fingers trembled slightly. Inside, the night only grew more intense. They walked through the glittering hall, and Jihoon introduced her to several important figures. Many forced polite smiles, but others looked at her like she was a stain on glass. Then she saw her, Sierra, tall, elegant, dressed in a white satin gown that shimmered under the lights. Her beauty was sharp, almost cold, and her eyes locked onto Faith with instant hostility. She walked toward them slowly, like a predator approaching prey. Jihoon, she said with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. You've brought company. Yes, he said calmly. Faith, my girlfriend. Sierra's gaze flicked over Faith's face, then her dress. Interesting, she murmured. Very interesting. Faith forced her voice not to shake. Nice to meet you. Sierra's smile widened just a little. Is it? Jihoon subtly stepped closer to Faith. Protective. Sierra, we're leaving now. Her eyes narrowed. Leaving? Already. With her? Yes, he said firmly. Sierra's voice dipped lower, cold enough to freeze air. This little performance will cost you. Jihoon didn't react, but Faith saw his jaw tighten. He held Faith's hand and led her away. But even from a distance, Faith felt Sierra's gaze burn into her back. Later, in the car, Faith finally spoke. She hates me. She hates anyone who tells her no. Jihoon replied. Then she's going to destroy me. Faith whispered. Jihoon looked at her, voice gentle. Not if I protect you. She held his gaze for a moment, and something warm curled in her chest. Something she didn't want to feel, but couldn't push away. The next few weeks were a blur of rehearsed affection, staged photos, late-night dinners, and lessons on how to survive in Jihoon's world. But somewhere between the fake smiles and scripted hand-holding, something real began to grow. One night, after a particularly exhausting event, Faith leaned back in the car and sighed. I don't think I can do this anymore. Jihoon looked at her in panic. Why? Did someone hurt you? Tell me. Not physically, she said, but I feel like I'm drowning. Your world, it's loud, it's bright, it's cruel. Jihoon reached across the seat, gently taking her hand. Then hold on to me. Her breath caught. She tried to pull her hand away, but he held it firmly warm, steady. I mean it, Faith, he said softly. Don't face this alone. Her voice trembled. Jihoon, this is just a contract. He looked at her, eyes darkening. Maybe it is for you, but for me, it stopped feeling fake a long time ago. Faith's heart slammed against her ribs. She looked away, fighting emotions she didn't want. Don't say things like that, she whispered. Why? He asked quietly. Because you might feel something too. Her silence was answer enough. Jihoon leaned back slowly, sighing. We can talk about this later. But there was no later. The world around them began to crumble faster than either expected. 2 days later, Faith left work late at night, only to find Sierra standing outside her building. Faith's stomach dropped. She didn't know if she should run or confront her. But Sierra walked toward her with slow, deliberate steps. Faith, she said softly, can we talk? Faith's instinct screamed no, but she nodded. Running would make her appear weaker. Sierra stepped closer, smiling gently. I want to understand you. You must be brave, coming into a world you don't belong in. Faith held her ground. I didn't come into it by choice. That's what makes it worse, Sierra whispered. People like you get swallowed whole. Sierra, I'm not trying to take anything from you, Faith said. But you did, Sierra replied. You took Jihoon. He was never yours. Sierra's eyes went cold. Oh, sweetheart, everything is mine if I decide it is. Fear prickled Faith's skin, but she didn't look away. Sierra stepped closer, so close Faith could feel her perfume sharp, expensive, suffocating. Walk away, Sierra murmured, or your family back home will suffer. I can make their lives very, very difficult. Faith felt her throat tighten. You wouldn't. Sierra smiled. Try me. Then she turned and walked away. Faith collapsed against the wall, trembling. The moment she got inside her apartment, she called Jihoon. He answered immediately. Faith. What's wrong? Sierra, she whispered. She threatened my family. Jihoon cursed under his breath. Stay where you are. I'm coming. No. Jihoon, please. But he had already hung up. 15 minutes later, he arrived, storming into her apartment with fire in his eyes. Where is she? He demanded. What did she say? Faith explained everything, her voice shaking. Jihoon's fists clenched. I'll end this, he growled. I'll make sure she never comes near you again. Faith grabbed his sleeve. Please don't make things worse. Worse, he echoed harshly. She threatened your family. She crossed every line. Jihoon, listen to me, Faith cried, gripping his hands. She's powerful. If you fight her, she'd take it out on me, or my family. I can't risk that. I can't. Tears pulled in her eyes. Please don't hurt her. Just help me stay out of her way. He stared at her, breathing hard. Then he gently wiped her tears with his thumb. You're not alone anymore, he whispered. I'm not letting you go through this alone. Faith's voice trembled. Jihoon, why do you care so much? His answer came quiet and shaky. Because I'm in love with you. The world seemed to stop. Faith's breath hitched. You can't say that. This is fake. Remember, not to me, he whispered. Not anymore. Faith's heart twisted painfully. She wanted to deny it. She wanted to push him away. But every time she looked at him, she felt warmth spread through her chest, warmth she didn't ask for, but couldn't stop. She didn't speak. She couldn't. Jihoon stepped closer, his forehead touching hers. Tell me you feel nothing, and I'll walk away. Faith opened her mouth, but nothing came out. Her silence said everything. Jihoon's breath trembled. I thought so. Before anything else could be said, a loud crash sounded outside. Jihoon instantly shielded Faith, pulling her behind him. More men. Sierra's men. Faith's fear turned to terror. Jihoon, stay behind me, he said. Voice steel. The door burst open. Two men lunged inside. Jihoon shoved Faith into the hallway, blocking the entrance with his body. Run, he shouted. I'm not leaving you, she cried. Faith, run. She hesitated, tears pouring down her face, then forced her legs to move. She rushed down the stairs, her breath ragged, heart tearing apart. Behind her, she heard shouting, fighting, Jihoon's voice, then silence. Faith froze halfway down the staircase, chest heaving. Jihoon, she whispered. No answer. Fear surged through her, powerful enough to drown her. She turned back, running up the stairs, tears streaming. Jihoon, she sobbed. She burst into the apartment and found Jihoon bleeding from a cut on his forehead, but alive, standing over the two unconscious men. Relief crashed through her so hard she nearly collapsed. She ran to him, throwing her arms around him. Don't ever scare me like that again, she cried into his chest. Jihoon wrapped his arms around her tightly, his voice shaking. I'm okay. I'm here. Faith lifted her head, staring into his eyes, dark, emotional, to intense. Without thinking, without planning, she leaned forward. Jihoon met her halfway. Their lips collided with desperation and fear, and love and everything they'd been trying to deny. His hands cupped her face, hers gripped his shirt. The world around them disappeared. When they finally broke apart, breathless, Faith whispered, we can't keep lying to ourselves. Jihoon rested his forehead against hers. Then don't lie. Not anymore. Faith closed her eyes, whispering, I'm scared. I'll protect you, he said softly. Always. Days later, Jihoon confronted his family in a heated boardroom argument. For the first time, he told them no. He refused the arrangement, refused Sierra, chose Faith. His parents were horrified. Sierra's family was furious, but Jihoon didn't back down. Meanwhile, Faith tried to pull away, not because she didn't love him, but because she feared Sierra's promises. She began packing her things one night, tears silently falling. When Jihoon arrived and saw the half-empty room, something in him broke. You're leaving me, he whispered. Jihoon, it's too dangerous, she cried. Your world wasn't made for someone like me. Then I'll build a new world, he said, stepping closer. One you can stay in. Jihoon, he pulled something from his pocket. Not a ring, a key. No contracts, he said quietly. No pretending. Stay because you want to. Faith stared at him, shaking, tears rolling down her cheeks. Then she dropped her bag, walked into his arms, and held him tightly. I want to, she whispered. Jihoon let out a shaky breath, burying his face in her hair. Then don't ever leave. Faith smiled through her tears. Only if you don't stop loving me. I couldn't, he said. Not even if I tried. In the end, what began as pretend became the most real thing in their lives. A contract signed with desperation became a love sealed with sacrifice, danger, and truth. Faith had come into Jihoon's world by accident, but she stayed by choice, and for the first time, neither of them wanted the story to end.